Welcome back to Seat Time. We are at the Little Raccoon National Enduro here in Wellston, Ohio. We got all the camping going on over there. We got the start here. We got about 1.5 mile transfer to the first test, and it did rain last night, guys. Ohio clay can't be worse than Georgia clay, can it? Yes, yes it can. If they got as much rain as we're hoping they didn't, probably gonna be pretty slick today, but good news is everybody has to ride the same course. Yeah, so it's gonna be a good day, guys. I don't know what it's gonna be like. I've never ridden here before, but I'm gonna take you on that adventure with me. So get ready for enjoying some seat time here. National Enduro, Little Raccoon. I have no idea what round it is even more. It's gonna be a good time. Let's do the thing. Woo! I wanted to come out attacking. After how I rode at the Flying W following Brendan Greiner, I wanted to see how I could do without a faster A-rider to pull me. The first test started with a quick grass track, which I tried to take some of Barry Hawk's advice on, but I don't think it helped me very much. The AT82 front tire that he recommended, I did put that on and it worked great. I will say, the worn out MX34 on the rear, not so much. But from the grass track, we did get into some very fun, but very slick Ohio single track. Just like any other mud race, you're gonna get smacked in the face a little. Ooh, photographer ahead, let's do this. Even row 43 was starting to get some pretty gnarly ruts. There were even a couple sections like you see here where you really did have to stand up and wiggle. It got nice and tight, and I'm telling you, the slick clay underneath was not making it a very stable platform to stand on. Looking back, I wonder what those two guys were discussing. It was probably a pretty interesting conversation. Woo, thank you. Oh look, random people in the woods. Not a good sign. We got a taste of the off-camber descents and uphills in test 1, but it was just a taste of what the race day would bring. Though our class wasn't as high up in the overall, the top 5 of the 45A class were all close to each other in the same 17th minute. Though Josh Toth was a full 3 minutes faster than us. Oh well.
Well, we're just out here in Ohio woods. It rained pretty good last night. It was pouring pretty good, so expected to be really muddy, and actually it's not as bad as I thought, just a little slick.
So like Ricky's saying it's not that bad, we got Lafferty saying it's not that bad, and guys, that was slick to me. Like I thought it was slick, but we got going into test 2 here, so that was 5 miles, what we just did in test 1. And we're about to hit 9 miles here. And I tried to do a better job standing up and pinching the bike, and to be completely honest, I kept telling myself, stand up, stand up, stand up. I kept finding myself sitting down, and I think it was because like I was uncomfortable in the slick terrain that I just kept sitting down to try to feel more comfortable. But I gotta remember to stand up and pinch the bike and don't sit down. I gotta stand up and I gotta attack, but here we are. So 9 miles into test 2. Maybe it's gonna be slick, maybe it's not. I don't know, but we're gonna enjoy it. Let's do it.
Test 2 started right here on this road. We went through a field and then bam, left hand into the woods up this long gnarly hill climb. And what was cool about Ohio is these hills keep going forever. So even when we do get to the top of this hill climb, we hit a little bit of off-camber terrain and then it just keeps going up. We do not have that in Texas, and guys, I absolutely love it. There were a couple sections in this test like this where I came up and I could not make a quick decision. You could tell that there were chances to get stuck, and especially when there's a downed rider, you're going to question which is the right line to take. This section just felt super cool to hit smooth. There were a lot of little sniper sections like that where you would just be trucking along and all of a sudden your front end or your back end would kind of slip out on you. Woo! Here's another muddy section where I was trying to be cautious and see if there was an outside line. It didn't look like there was, so up the middle it was. Seems trivial, but I'm getting better at taking little chances like that. Whoa. I'm also not waiting for riders as much anymore and attacking, finding ways around. I was second in our class for this test. I think I was just being smooth and consistent. Jesse Santucci, who won our class, was an entire minute faster than me. He was cooking. Brent Belsole, who was about 50 seconds behind me, was in third, but we know Santucci was figuring it out.
Woo! Thanks, guys. Test 3 was the A-B split test. We're gonna have our own A only later, and man, it was a true A-B test, because it was crazy off camber, which was really cool. It was very slick in a lot of spots, but there was actually traction in some spots. So the 7 miles that we had actually had a lot of different types of terrain, which I really enjoyed. But in the long run, I did make quite a few mistakes. I feel like I rode okay. I could have been a little bit more aggressive in a certain sections. And when we got to that really slick hill climb, in reality, it wouldn't have been that bad of a hill climb if it wasn't so freaking slick. But it was really bad. Dude, totally heart rate zone 5 for sure. But then I then made one of the dumbest mistakes on one of the bridges. Of course, I got onto the bridge. I didn't feel like I zipped the throttle, but when I got on the bridge, all of a sudden I'm like facing down and backwards. It was interesting. So we're getting ready to go into test 4. I think it's another 7 miles. And we got the Sea Riders back with us. So maybe it's not gonna be as technical. Maybe it's gonna be as slick. I have no idea. Let's get to it. Ow. Fucking knee. Oh my god, that hurt. Fuck. Come on. Oh.
Toward the end of this test, my bike started making weird noises and it just felt like I couldn't get the bike to really rev out. And turns out the clutch was actually starting to go out. I started talking to Brian Story about this after the fact, and he believes that the clutch was boiling over. Pretty crazy, and man, it was hard just to even get through the end of this test because it was so tight and my clutch just would not keep the bike running pulled in.
Come on, clutch. You got this. Fuck. God damn it. Well, hopefully it went through. Clutch fade is a bitch.
It's not very often that you're waiting to start a test and two riders ride back in front of you. It already had me wondering, what is up ahead? You know what it was? It was this hill climb, and I totally screwed it up. I watched it back a few times to see if I could tell what it was that kind of shot me off to the left, but I truly think it was just lack of momentum and a little bit of traction, and then as I got the bike moved over, I slipped, my foot kept moving out on those roots underneath me, and in the long run, I just screwed up. And this is what lack of momentum on a slippery hill climb gets you, even though it's not that steep. I thought this was a cool look at the way the club would use terrain to make it very difficult and very technical. And then of course you get into the off camber. The off camber is very off cambery, and I was very afraid that I was gonna slip out. Rough moments like that and riders up ahead blocking the trail really were tough in this test section for me. I thought the club did a great job with the arrowing. You can see all the orange arrows when we needed to take that left. But in the long run, I just wasn't attacking in this test section.
Come on, stand up.
Here's a good look at how tight and twisty this section got. And I will say, it felt like this section had more of this type of single track than some of the others. Maybe it was just more of it. Maybe I was just tired. Whatever it was, you guys were kicking my butt.
Gotta do better on those. Oh, fuck.
Unfortunately, here is another moment in time where I made a very small mistake that should have been easily corrected, but then I was stuck on the roots behind me and didn't really realize it, didn't take the time to back up properly, and wasted another 20 seconds here at this moment.
Making stupid mistakes.
To say that I was tired coming out of test 5 and going into test 6 is an understatement. But the thing is, with an A-only test at the end of the day, it is what it is. We've got to saddle up, we've got to get on the bike, and we've got to ride to the best of our ability. So here we go. The shenanigans that are test 6 from the Little Raccoon National Enduro. Looking at this footage from the first hill climb, I could have gone high during that divot right before this hill climb and carried a lot more speed. Unfortunately, that divot, because I didn't stand up and I didn't weight the rear end of the bike, I didn't carry much traction into this hill climb, and I almost didn't even make it. But then, this happened.
Holy shit! Oh,
I did this drag / slide the bike down the hill, move the tire, and then realized, oh my god, my heart rate is really high.
okay. My heart rate's up. Give her hell. Woo!
Yes, sir. I'm gonna do my best to give her hell. We weren't even a full mile in, and I'm already dragging myself down a hill and trying to get myself up a hill. I can tell you right now, I'm tired, but this trail is also very slick and very technical. And having a "it's got one more ride in it" MX-34 on the rear was a horrible idea. But guys, I'm still learning. I know I'll figure it out at some point. That gross little creek bed that they had us ride up was about a quarter of a mile before we hit this open road, which then we took a left off of. We crossed the creek, and then we had this nasty uphill. Looking back at it, when I came across this creek and saw the hill, I legitimately did get scared. I didn't stand up. I sat down. The bike popped me off, so all of my weight and traction that should have been on the rear wheel was no longer there. So then when I did hit the hill again, the bike was completely out of control. After I crawled myself to the top, high RPM photo did help me drag my bike to the top. And then of course, I tried to come to this left angle to get a nice clean shot and not get stuck. And what happens? I turn into a complete sea rider and let the back end get shifted by this root, and then I get stuck on it. Guys, I did not have a easy go in test 6, but I truly did bring it on myself. After spooking myself and taking this left-hand turn, I did not think that this slight incline that I'm starting to crawl up right now was actually gonna turn into the 3-tier climb that it became. Let's watch me screw up, and then we'll make it successful.
Nope. Damn. Guys, I forgot how to ride a dirt bike. This is gonna take a while. I gotta go back down.
That was tier 1. That was tier 2. And that was tier 3.
Oh, I think the only reason I had the energy for that was because I waited after that. Woo!
Test 6 was everything an A-only section was supposed to be. It didn't need to be that long, but it was extremely technical. And the weather that came in the day before made it extremely slick, raising up the technical aspects of the off-camber, extremely slick terrain. I'm glad that the Appalachian Dirt Riders put this section together and truly tested us. This is what endurance is about. So keep endurance in enduro and keep pushing our limits. First off, huge thanks to John for the shirt, the South Pin Enduro Riders. I love the logo. Super stoked to be able to wear one of y'all's shirts. Bike setup. I did not do a good job with bike setup. And the reason is because of the rear tire that I did not change. Of course, I did put the AT82 on the front, but in the midst of all of that, I looked at the MX-34 that I had on the rear and I said, you know what? It's got one more ride in it. What I didn't think about is I'm not riding, I'm racing. And I'm trying to do the best that I can do. And I need to have the best equipment for that. So I should have put on a new tire. Almost at this point, any new tire would have been better than the worn out MX-34 that I had on. When I got tired, I should have been a little bit smarter about the way that I rode. I needed to force myself to stand up more. I needed to attack less. I needed to be a little bit more conscious about body placement, specifically in some of those divots. You could see in the footage that I would sit down a lot in those divots, and then when we would come out, you could see that it would kind of kick my rear end up. When that happens, the rear end has no weight on it. So as you're coming up and out of there, you actually have less traction. Making sure that I'm standing on the pegs, and if I can, not only stand on the pegs, make sure that I've got my heels dropped so that more of that weight is back off that rear wheel. It's gonna help on a lot of those hill climbs. And honestly, even with the low speed that I had on that hill climb in test 6, if I'd have been doing that, I probably would have made the hill. It really wasn't that bad of a hill. At the time though, I was mentally fried, and when I saw it, I just freaked out a little bit and had zero aggression. And to clear some things up, I'm not mad and I'm not upset about what happened with the gas available before test 6 at the rider support. My point is about communication. A rider should not find out 45 minutes before the event starts very pertinent parts of the event and how it's going to be run. That should be communicated before most racers are going to be leaving for the weekend. That's it. That's the point. So no, I'm not upset. I'm not angry. So you're more than welcome to keep leaving comments, but I'm not going to respond to them if you're going to keep responding to me in a way that you just keep escalating the situation. It makes absolutely no sense. I'm looking forward to PA, but I'm not looking forward to getting there so that I have to race at 2 p.m. on Saturday. But you know what? It's part of it. I'm doing the series. I'm going to do the thing and give myself my best chance on the weekend. Again, talking to Barry Hawk, it sounds like he's saying an EN91, EN91EX if I can. For the rocks, I'm going to keep the 82 on the front. We're going to be getting some new moose balls soon, and we're going to start playing with more and more tires as we get to the lead belt, which is going to be in Missouri, I believe, in September. Guys, thank you again for saying hi on the trail. Thank you again for saying hi at the riders meeting on the entire weekend. Noah, you kicked butt. Thanks for coming with me on the journey. Enjoy getting seat time. If I don't get a chance to see you on the trail, obviously I will see you here on the internet. See you for the next one. Peace.
Holy shit!